Okay. Whatever the merits of certain inventions, they show the face of Ahriman. Under such headings, one could consider all sorts of mechanisms, but in particular, such appliances as television, radio, cinema, and the 1,001 things dependent on electricity. The grid. Because, okay, because he relies on uh, the nervous system. So I've read some other things that he attacks the nervous system, right? I forgot where I heard that. I think it was from Lotta, actually. Astra Lotta. I love looking at her videos. She's a wealth of knowledge. Um, but yeah, she was talking about like, well, yeah, AI related. So you have to have the grid, right? Completely just saturated by the grid and electronics and all that stuff. Anyways, continuing. But yeah, being completely dependent on it. It is by no means a condemnation of their use if one points to negative aspects. One effect is that they encourage passivity. Yep. They dull the consciousness so that the will is weakened and the ego retreats, making way for outside influences to insinuate themselves. Also, to numb your mind into almost a stagnant state, especially with social media things like, I mean, I'm not trying to bash, but not everybody is into spiritual things. So instead, what they look and watch all the time are meaningless things like trendy things, memes, or just always being too much into like, yeah, just those types of things, right? Just taking away from core values that can actually help you to kind of get some insight and get some deeper inspiration. It's only surface level. So, and I just lost where I was. Okay. Yep. One might rightly ask whether there is a connection here with mass hysteria. If the ego is not awake, there can be a rise. All right, is not awake, there can arise the phenomenon of obsession. And one has only to look at recent events, both in Europe and elsewhere, to pose the question as to whether demonic beings have not taken possession of certain personalities. Ahriman is known as the father of lies. But lies and deceit do not always appear in their own colors. In fact, they are most effective when they appear in the guise of truth, and in modern times, we can find plenty of examples. For instance, knowledge that is based only on material concept is only half true. The fact that it is considered the whole truth is deceit. The facts may be true in themselves, yet in the greater context, they are false. It is an illusion to think that matter is the sole reality. It is a serious error to think that if one understands one aspect of the world to the exclusion of others, one has the whole truth. Untruth can appear in various forms. What might be considered a trivial example is in writing of references where only the positive is stated. Admittedly, a dilemma for the writer, but untruth nonetheless, as for the statements by politicians. Similarly, there is untruth in statistics, for which there is a modern craze. Yeah. In the first place, figures are probably gathered for a particular aim, and there is thus bias from the start. Absolutely. Manipulating statistics. How to manipulate statistics. I think I recall someone who even wrote a book named that. BG? Mr. BG? Anyone? Anyway, but in any case, figures can be interpreted in many ways. Different party or sectarian opinions can be proved with equal I can't. I need a break from reading, you can tell. Validity. The same applies to advertisements. Marketing, advertisements, trendy, material girl. I never liked that woman, by the way. Just as Lucifer can stimulate enthusiasm, which can develop to extremes, Ahriman, at the other pole, induces apathy towards spiritual matters. Hence a lack of interest, tediousness, superficial understanding, learning, and working merely for a livelihood. He would keep intellectual knowledge in a compartment by itself, without reference to the human being. Thinking under Ahrimanic influence considers only the physical. It produces cleverness without conscience and leads to moral deficiencies. If the human being has evolved from dust alone, what is he? Does it matter if thousands are annihilated? Atom bombs? Extermination camps? Or if man is just a higher animal, is it not natural that he should have animal instincts? And if he gives vent to these, what is it but nature taking her course? Manipulation, deceiving, only to break you down, in dumbing you down, to degenerate you. Alternatively, the human being is considered as a highly complex machine, but a machine has no morality. Does it matter then if man is dehumanized, depersonalized, and treated as something of an automaton? Transhuman? Merging with AI? Merging with machines? I thought it was supposed to be a rage against the machine, not for the machine. The fact that truth or a good impulse can be inverted into the opposite has already been mentioned. Oh my God, this is a long video. Let us look at the idea of brotherly love and what happens in the name of brotherly love. No one will argue that it is not a desirable ideal, but in a modern context, what happens now in the name of brotherliness? An individual who does not wish to conform to someone else's idea finds himself isolated or rejected. On a wider scale imposed, state socialism is on the same level as compelling a man to say his prayers. Self-determination of nations based on folk culture may be an impressive idea, but where does this lead? Wars, rivalries, sanctions, nationalism, racialism, chauvinism, the very opposite of brotherly love. Historically, the influence of the Luciferic and Ahrimanic forces alternates in intensity, yet Lucifer and Ahriman work together. Where one is effective, the other is able to follow. The one prepares the way for the other. An example is in the matter of language. The earlier Luciferic impulse towards diversity, which was essential at the time in the interest of individual development, has now become hardened and diversity has become dissension. Another instance is that Lucifer leads man to the physical world. Then Ahriman tries to persuade him that that is all there is. Whoever suffers from Luciferic-inspired delusions with regard to self-importance will find Ahriman ready to provide wealth and resources to make the delusion reality, to achieve power and glory in the material world. Does this sound familiar to some figures that we know? It sure does to me, that's for sure. And hold on. On the other hand, one who is amassed material goods can easily be tempted to indulge in feelings of pride and self-importance. Oh yeah, that definitely sounds like some people in high places. An excellent example of the working of the two forces is found in our present mode of life. Much work which has to be accomplished is of a dull, soul-destroying routine nature. Yeah, perhaps the assembly line is the best example, although office routine might run any close second. The human being seeks an escape and finds relaxation in matters that take him out of himself, in alcohol, drugs, and questionable distractions. To summarize, those influences which would entice man to flee the earth and overemphasize himself are due to Lucifer. Among the effects on his soul, we could list passion, fanaticism, pride, self-indulgence, pseudo-occultism. On his physical body, the result is fever. Ahriman's influences towards the world of matter to encourage intellectual thinking without the relationship to the human being. So all strictly AI machines. Towards rigidity, production of formulae, technology. On the body, the result is manifest in all forms of hardening and calcification. Calcification. By the way, I wonder what fluoride does to the pineal gland. Speaking of calcifying, pineal, I'm sorry, not pineal. Pineal. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to stop this for now. There's still one, like two more, but I'm going to save that for next time.